Hi, I'm Carla from Masters College, and I'm going to show you how to do a critical reasoning exercise for the GMAT. So this is our exercise. The first thing we're going to do is identify the question based on how it's worded. Here it says, which of the following would be most useful in evaluating the claim made in the argument? That means that we're dealing with an evaluate question, and we're going to have to evaluate if what they are concluding or claiming or arguing is valid. So the next thing we're going to do is deconstruct the argument. We're just going to break it down so that we understand what's going on. When you see a name like this or a person and then a colon, that means that this is the person making the argument. So the manager is saying, the new manufacturing process should save us time overall, even though the first step of the 5-step process will take twice as long as it does under the old process. So the first idea is that we have this new process, and even though the first step takes longer, it's going to save us time. Under the new process, far fewer of the components will be found defective, and the sole purpose of steps 2 and 3 under the old process is to weed out defective components. So this is essentially supporting that first idea by telling us there's going to be fewer things to have to fix, essentially. As a result, we should be able to eliminate 2 of the 5 steps in the existing manufacturing process. So again, reiterating the same idea of why it would save us time, we're going to be able to eliminate 2 of the 5 steps. So this new process is in fact going to be saving us time. So if we look at how these pieces of information relate to one another, everything ultimately is supporting the first idea, which is the main claim or the main conclusion, that the new manufacturing process is going to save us time. So the next thing we want to do is state the goal. This is an evaluate question, and we are evaluating this conclusion that the new process is going to save time. So one thing to keep in mind is that the evaluate questions are always going to result in a 2-way path, which means that one outcome of the answer is going to strengthen the conclusion, and one outcome of the answer is going to weaken the conclusion. So if you don't have that sort of split path, then you're not going to be able to evaluate it properly. So the last step is to eliminate. So we're just going to go through the choices. A says, whether factory workers will require training in order to use the new manufacturing process. So on the one hand, if they do need training, that may or may not affect the time of the process itself. On the other hand, if they don't need training, we still aren't really evaluating if this new process is faster than the previous one. So this answer, we're going to go ahead and eliminate. The next one says, whether the new process is likely to introduce deficiencies or imperfections that must be corrected. So the whole argument lies on the fact that if we spend more time on this first step, we're not going to have as many deficiencies, which means that we can eliminate other steps. So if the process introduces new deficiencies or new things that we have to fix, that would imply more time. And it might also imply that you actually have to keep in those other 2 steps. So if this is yes, that's going to weaken our argument. On the other hand, if the process does not introduce new problems, then that would mean that it would save us time. So this does what we were looking for. One side of this outcome would strengthen, one side would weaken. So we're going to keep this one in. C says whether defective components can be fixed or must be thrown out. So in this case, either way, fixing something implies more time. Throwing away something also implies more time because then you have to manufacture it all over again. So this doesn't give us the split path that we want, so we're just going to eliminate it. D, whether a third manufacturing process would save even more time than both the old and new manufacturing processes. So this isn't relevant to what we're trying to figure out. We're just trying to evaluate, is this new process faster than the previous one? So adding a new third process is irrelevant to our main goal. So we're going to eliminate D. E, whether saving time with the new manufacturing process will ultimately lead to cost savings for the company. So the whole thing is about saving time. Therefore, whether or not that has any correlation to cost savings doesn't really concern us. So this one is irrelevant in terms of what we're trying to figure out. So that means that our answer was in fact E. And that's it. That's how you do a critical reasoning. Thank you.